First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, while presiding over the meeting of the Supreme Committee dealing with the COVID-19, confirms that the Sultanate will gear up all its efforts to combat the pandemic to protect the health of citizens and residents. His Majesty the Sultan stresses that the efforts cannot be done without the support of all citizens and residents, and to adhere to these decisions and instructions issued by the Supreme Committee and directed bodies concerned to follow procedures against violators. His Majesty allocates 10 million Omani Riyals to face the COVID-19 pandemic and hails the initiatives of private sector and individuals in supporting the government's efforts. And 10 new COVID-19 positive cases are recorded in the Sultanate, and recovery cases are increased to 23. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq today presided over the meeting of the Supreme Committee in charge of dealing with COVID-19. His Majesty the Sultan stressed that the government will gear up all its efforts to combat the pandemic. This cannot be done without the support of all citizens and residents to adhere to the decisions and instructions issued by the committee. His Majesty also directed bodies concerned to follow procedures against violators who act carelessly toward the spread of the virus. And as part of His Majesty's personal support to fight this pandemic, an amount of 10 million Omani Riyals will be allocated. His Majesty the Sultan also hailed the initiatives provided by the private sector and individuals to stand by the government in this national duty. His Majesty the Sultan thanked the members of the committee for their tireless efforts, wishing good health for everyone and praying to Allah to protect the people from any harm. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sent a cable of condolences to His Excellency President Joko Widodo of Indonesia on the death of his mother.
Non-compliance with the directives of the Supreme Committee dealing with coronavirus COVID-19 exposes you to risk and legal action. Stay safe.
In a statement, the Ministry of Health announced the registration of 10 new cases of coronavirus COVID-19 infection for citizens. 5 of them are related to contacts with infected patients and 2 cases related to travel to Britain, while 3 are subject to an epidemiological investigation. The total number of cases recorded in the Sultanate now is 109. The ministry calls upon all to strictly adhere to the quarantine procedures in a separate room and toilet as directed. It also called on all citizens and residents to constantly clean hands with water and soap, avoid touching the face, nose, mouth and eyes, and follow hygienic habits when sneezing and coughing, and strictly adhere to the social distancing instructions issued by the Supreme Committee and the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health confirmed that the health quarantine is a must for all those who came from outside the Sultanate, either they are students or other categories, clarifying that the institutional quarantine will be provided for those who do not have suitable conditions in their home, separate room and a toilet, while those who have suitable places must be subjected to home quarantine. The ministry urges those who are subjected to the institutional quarantine to heed to the directions during the quarantine period and not to expose other people with the infection. The ministry also calls upon all to adhere to social distancing instructions while receiving the arrivals and avoid shaking hands and hugging. The second batch of Omani students studying abroad arrived in the Sultanate. These students will be subjected for tests and then institutional quarantine in specified hotels, in addition to provide medical and social teams to take care of them during the quarantine period. The embassies and attaches of the Sultanate in various countries around the world announced earlier the necessity that all Omani citizens and students abroad to communicate with them for coming back to the Sultanate. Within the national efforts to combat coronavirus COVID-19, a Royal Air Force of Oman aircraft headed to China to import various medical supplies. The aircraft took off from the Seeb Air Base carrying Omani medical staff from the Ministry of Health, heading to Shenzhen city in China to import medical equipment required to combat the virus. Similar flights will be conducted after it. The move aims to boost supplies of medical equipment to tackle the spread of COVID-19 disease. In continuation of efforts being exerted by the Sultan's armed forces to support all public and private establishments and other sectors in the country affected by measures taken to combat coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, Royal Navy of Oman, RNO, carried oil derivatives shipment to the Governorate of Musandam, as per measures taken by the Higher Committee entrusted to discuss mechanism to deal with developments resulted from the spread of coronavirus. Upon receiving measures taken by the Higher Committee, RNO started to ship fuel tanks to provide oil derivatives sale companies in the Governorate of Musandam with all their needs. The shipments sailed from Saeed bin Sultan Naval Base to Khasab Port in the Governorate of Musandam as to sustain the work in fuel stations and electricity plants in all parts in the Governorate and provide them with other needs. Community awareness is recorded in dealing with the developments of coronavirus COVID-19 in the Governorate of Bareilly. This came through abiding by decisions and measures taken by the government nationwide. Coronavirus COVID-19 preventive measures, the number of people in the streets and public places declined in the Governorate. People are strictly implementing social distancing. This community interaction will be taken decisions are also accompanied by a number of initiatives in partnership between citizens and the government bodies. Hospitals, laid-off workers and struggling companies will receive badly needed economic aid under the record-setting relief bill of $2 trillion approved by the U.S. Senate yesterday in a 96-0 vote. House leaders said they hope to pass the bill tomorrow, and U.S. President Donald Trump has said he would sign the bill into law. The relief package moved through Congress as Federal Reserve Chair Jeremy Powell said the United States may well be in recession. Jobless claims soared to a record 3.3 million today, nearly 5 times the previous weekly record of 695,000 from the recession of 1982. Roughly half the United States was under stay-at-home orders to arrest the virus, with the side effect of strangling the economy.
Non-compliance with the directives of the Supreme Committee dealing with coronavirus COVID-19 exposes you to risk and legal action. Stay safe.
This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main headlines once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, while presiding over the meeting of the Supreme Committee dealing with COVID-19, confirms that the Sultanate will gear up all its efforts to combat the pandemic to protect the health of citizens and residents. His Majesty the Sultan stresses that the efforts cannot be done without the support of all citizens and residents, and to adhere to the decisions and instructions issued by the Supreme Committee and directed bodies concerned to follow procedures against violators. His Majesty allocates 10 million Omani riyals to face the COVID-19 pandemic and hails the initiatives of private sector and individuals in supporting the government's efforts. And 10 new COVID-19 positive cases are recorded in the Sultanate, and recovery cases are increased to 23. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.